can you pay for my flights back to Ireland? Like, I'm done. I've had enough of this. Like, I want to come home. Welcome to Flappachinos, episode 10.
Episode 10. 9.
10.
9.
10.
10.
10.
10.
10.
How sure are you?
Pretty sure.
Oh. We are, what are we talking about today? Vanilla jobs. Our
Jobs other than
before-
skimpying. Yes.
OG jobs.
Yes.
Our first
What was your
jobs.
first ever job?
My first ever job was silver service, weddings. So really fancy catering. 5 people would go around the table at the same time and we'd all place the food on the same time.
I've done that. I was shy at it.
I was so shy at it too.
It's like
It's so hard.
la-di-da. Like,
I remember went to walk away and the chef screamed at me because there was a smidge of dirt on, or like just the plate wasn't perfect.
It's not
And
for
he
us.
was like, how dare you not notice that? And I was like, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And then your first job?
My first job was in a jewelry store.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they thought I was like 16, so they offered my parents to give me a job. But then it turned out I was 14 and then I was devastated. So they ended up giving me the job anyway, and I loved it. I'd done it for years.
Yeah.
And then after, I was
I
like
actually
opening and closing.
realised
And
I did job before that as well, before I did the waitressing. Worked as a receptionist in a kitchen company. Like people would come in and look at show kitchens and I couldn't answer a single question. I just had to basically man this chair, and I just sat there and I was like, I'll get you someone that knows what's going on every single time.
yeah, I remember the first day standing there, I was like stage fright central. Like I'd only been to school, so I'd never had to I'd never had to really like speak to anyone outside my home and school.
My parents were really good with this. So it used to terrify me and I always used to think my dad was really evil for it. But if we were paying for stuff at the counter, he would give me the money and make me do the transaction. And I remember him doing it from such a young age. Like he would pick me up and I'd pay the lady.
Yeah.
And he would be like, how much is it? And I was like, and then I'd have to count it and give it to them. And like silly things like, we'd go into the gas station and he'd be like, you need to say number 5.
It's a good idea.
And I'd be like, it's number 5. So that like I got used to like interacting with people.
No, on my first day, like the lady was standing beside me. Like she was my neighbor. I love her. I still love her. But she's standing beside me and the person would walk up and hand it and she's like, say hello. And I'm like, hi.
Oh yeah, no, see my parents completely
She's
wiped
like,
that from me.
You know, I'd like type it into the till and she's like, tell them how much it is. And I'm like, oh my God, like I just couldn't pick it up.
No,
But
yeah.
fuck. I ended up being completely fine at it.
Yeah.
They loved me after. I was like,
My
one
parents
of
would
their
sometimes
best
send me
staff.
into the shop and I was so young and they would wait like outside but could see me to do like a full, and I would be like, I don't want to do it. Can you just go in and buy my magazine? They're like, do you want the magazine that badly? And I was like, fine. And I'd have to go and pick up the magazine and go to the counter and do it. And I remember being so young.
Yeah, no, I got knocked out of it pretty fast. And then I learned how to say like, how's your day? Like, how you going? What are you getting up to? Like, stuff like that. But at the start, I just had no idea where to start.
It's crazy, isn't
Imagine
it?
not knowing how to say hello to someone.
Yeah. I was like, pretty used to it.
Say hello. Hi. So scared, like. And then after, what
did you do after that one?
did I do after that? I worked in a fast food restaurant for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Like a Macca's.
Yeah.
Flipping burgers, being a drive-through gal.
Yeah.
There's no way I could now. Purely because I could not stand inside a drive-through window in Ireland in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did that.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great. There was so many staff. It was so much fun.
I can top that for being cold. I used to work on a ski resort, didn't I? So I used to get up. It would be -30 and I'd have to lug my ass onto a bus, half an hour on a bus to the top of the ski hill. Oh no, I'd have to sit on a gondola with no heating.
No.
And everyone would be like this next to each other, unable to talk because it was so cold, still dark. And then I'd have to, sit at a ski school desk and I had to like sell ski lessons.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
It was so worth it though, because when the sun came up and it was just like, and you wore thermals, you wore your hat, you had gloves. Like you were layered up. Like you wouldn't be like you were in Ireland and England. You were wearing the right clothes. Like,
I did
you
like,
still feel cold.
they gave us a jacket, but then it was this weird thing because when you're out inside the like glass window at the drive-through window, you're like serving and you got your jacket, but then you go inside to like get burgers or chips or something and it's fucking
in and out,
roasting.
in and out.
Like,
Yeah, you're in
and you
and
just
out.
didn't know what was going on. But
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I've done everything.
Same. Now I
Everything.
think about it actually. I
Yeah.
have done everything.
Especially since coming to Australia.
Yeah.
Because I
you
just
have
said
done everything.
yes to every single job.
I sold cigarettes for a while.
Did.
I worked for Marlboro Cigarettes in their marketing.
Didn't you sell them at like festivals and
then
stuff?
I did, the promo girl for them as well. So I was going to festivals and we would have our own stand selling cigarettes. And it was kind of one of those ambiguous things because you couldn't really put, I sell cigarettes, but people knew that they were coming to buy cigarettes. Crazy.
I done promo for a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
So, it was in Tenerife. You know, when you're like those girls outside the
So you're
bars.
the reason I have all these shitty tattoos.
And
2
like,
for €10, bring a friend for free.
Yeah, they're like the girls are like coming for a drink, but I was like, hey, do you guys fancy getting a tattoo? Like, that was my job, to bring people in and let them get tattooed while drunk.
We have all got shitty tattoos because of it.
Especially me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was easily convinced.
Yeah.
Easily convinced.
Oh, it was so easy.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, fuck yeah, we're getting holiday tattoos.
We're getting holiday tattoos.
Yeah. And then when I came to Australia, I couldn't find a job anywhere. Like, I don't think I knew how everything worked. I think like
it is
CVs
hard.
and resumes are like done differently.
It's just
nobody
everything
wants
is
you as
kind
a
of
backpacker.
Yeah, we have restrictions on our visas as English as well. You can only work for one company for 6 months.
Yeah. And then I just, there was this, I don't know if it's still around, there's this place in Perth called the Job Shop. It's for backpackers.
Yeah, I think it still exists, yeah.
I went in there, I was desperate. I was like, give me a job. Give me any job, please. Like, I'll do anything. I'll scrub toilet. And they called me the next day and they're like, we've got a job for you. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, can you cook? And I completely lied and said yes. They're like, you're going to be cooking. And they said cattle station, but because I had never even heard what a cattle station is.
Oh,
I
you just wouldn't.
Didn't know it was a word. I just heard station. So I thought I was going to work at a train station in like a commercial kitchen. And I'm
As we all would, because why else would we think of, if I think of station as well, my first thought would be a big, huge train station.
Yeah. Like, yeah, somewhere for transport. Yeah. So,
because we don't call them cattle stations in the UK. We
there
would
is
call
no,
it.
it was
just
just
a
a farm.
fucking
Just a
goddamn farm.
Yeah.
It's a farm, or in America we call them ranches.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of cattle station until here.
No, it wasn't a word. And then I was like, all right, well, great. How do I get there? I get on this like 14-hour bus, like up north. I'm like, how am I even going to be in Australia? Like, I just couldn't believe how big it was.
You wouldn't be able to convince me. Yeah, no way.
I get off this bus and got my pink suitcase, and the farmer picks me up and he's like, are you good to fly? And I was like, what do you mean fly?
What do you mean fly?
Yeah, and
we've already drove for hours.
I know. And
you would get from Ireland to Russia in 14 hours.
Further, like. And then he brought me to this mustering plane. No windows, no doors. Oh, there was windows, no doors. And I'm sitting in this plane and I'm thinking, what the fuck? We're like flying over all the stations. It's just completely barren land. And I'm thinking, he was trying to ask me questions like, where are you from? Like, really nice. But I said to him, I was like, I think I'm going to get sick. Like, I can't talk. We land on this cattle station and we get off. And I'm just thinking, where's the trains? You know, like, it's just
there are no trains.
There was definitely no trains. And he's like, I'll take you to, it was February, there was flies everywhere. No one told me that I'd have no mobile signal. They just sent me there as a backpacker, no information. I didn't know what I was getting in for.
It seems so obvious now though that you don't get service out. I wouldn't have
now it's obvious.
Yeah.
But at the time
I had no idea.
I couldn't believe it. And I just thought I think I'm gonna die. Like, I don't think I'm gonna make it through this. He took me to meet his wife. Lovely lady. I still love them all, but at the time, again, I didn't know.
Yeah.
There was a kangaroo tail on the counter in the kitchen, and it still had fur on it. There was blood, and I didn't realize, again, as a backpacker, that Australians ate kangaroo.
I didn't even either. I remember someone saying that they sell kangaroo steaks in Aldi, and I went, no, they don't, you sick fucks.
So I'm like, what's that? And they're like, oh, we're having root tail for dinner, and I'm like, root tail, and they're like, kangaroo tail.
Nah.
And I just looked at them like they might as well have told me that they just chopped up their dog.
Yeah.
But I was horrified.
Literally. That's exactly how I felt as well.
I wouldn't eat it. I was terrified.
Same.
Yeah. I remember going, I went back, they gave me a torch. They said, here's a torch, and I'm like, thanks. Like, what? And she just said, well, when you're going to your room at night, like the snakes and the scorpions. And I'm like, that's it. Like, no, I can't. I went back to my room. I cried my eyes out. And I like plucked up the courage to go back over and say, I can't do this. And, you know, like, it's hard to go and say something like that.
Yeah.
Hook up the
Especially
courage.
because they've like, you know, they've just gone out of their way to get you there.
Yeah. And when I told the lady on the cattle station, I just burst out crying. I was like, this is not for me. Like, I want to go home. She was like, oh, it's okay, sweetie. Like, you don't have to stay. You can go home. And I just thought, thank fuck. And she was like, someone will go into town next week. And I was like, no, like, this is, I need to go now. And she was like, no, we don't go into town all the time. It was like a 3.5 hour drive away. I was like, can you not just put me back in the plane? She was like, we don't take the plane into town not often. Like, and then I was so upset. Like, I ended up speaking to my mom, and my mom was like, if you stay for 10 days, she was like, I'll pay for your flights out of there. And I was like, can you pay for my flights back to Ireland? Like, I'm done. I've had enough of this. Like, I want to come home. And my mom said, yeah. She said, you stay there for 10 days and I'll get you back home to Ireland. And I made this little calendar, and every day I get up and I'm like crossing over. And every day that I stayed there, I realized